Hello everyone. It has been like almost 19 days since the demise of Sushant Singh Rajput, and the entire country is still in a shock. And while half the people are believing it's a suicide, the other half is believing it's a murder. Who are thinking it's a suicide, and the depression which was named as the cause of Sushant's death linked to nepotism of the country, which is happening all around in the Bollywood industry, in which the star kids get launched, and the real talented, hardworking people who come from normal background don't get the opportunities. So, and the other half is thinking it's a murder, and they are primarily targeting some evidences and some people who were related to Sushant and maybe a cause of the death, and it's a murder to them. There are many things we need to think before thinking that anyone has a proof, and why CBI inquiry is not being done for Sushant's case. Why he was such a big actor, he was such a versatile actor, and the entire country loved him a lot. And we have seen his movies like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, The Untold Story, and Chichore, and also debuts like Kai Poche, PK, Rabda, etc. etc. Things like the actor changing 50 SIM cards in the last few months of its death, and the other things like CCTV camera of Sushant's house not working means stopped working a day before his death, may be a proof that he might be murdered, and the marks on his neck while his hanging body was taken out from the fan of ceiling fan can be a cause of his death. Can be cause of his death means it can be proved that it is a murder. And his friend Sandeep, who has been seen reading evidences that prove Sushant's death, and also it can prove that he was depressed, but he was not depressed, but someone was making his post look like he was depressed and he wanted to die, or he wanted to end his life. And the people who are thinking it's a suicide for him being depressed for the last few months has been targeting the Bollywood nepotism and the star kids of the country, and Sushant losing all his projects, and also the big production houses boycotting him, made the people think that he was depressed and he didn't have any work, and he just didn't have the will to live any further, so ended his life. But the people who think it's a murder think about the proofs, that it's like the moving finger when he was taken out of his ceiling, videos showing it. There are many things which can be said, but not all people have the proper truth or the proper evidence, proper analysis. But I don't think that anyone has proper proof that it was suicide or a murder. It can be a variety of causes that it may be a murder. Many people are thinking, and the death picture Sushant Singh Rajput can prove it's a murder. While many people can be jealous of his success as well. Now everything can be said, but things need to be sensible as well at the same time. Many people are thinking of Sushant's friends, servants, and his girlfriend Riya Chakrabarti involved in this murder. And other people are thinking, who think it's a suicide, are thinking of Salman Khan and Karan Johar promoting nepotism in the country is a sign for depression of Sushant and the end of his life. So what can be said? And the pomegranate juice not being tested, which he had the day of his death, and also his phone. Also, why did he change 50 SIM cards few months before his death? And I also heard that he was getting death threats from people. So he obviously always changes SIM cards. It can be said. Many things can be said. But the main thing is a person who made his last film Chichore. Not like Dil Bechara is going to come, we know it's coming in Hotstar on 24th of July, but the people who saw Chichore know him as his last on-screen appearance when he was alive. So that movie clearly says suicide is not an option. Then how can a person who gave us the message didn't follow the message and committed suicide himself? It's quite a mystery. Nobody knows who did the crime, or what was the reason for his suicide. No one knows, and the police are in his postmortem report give the cause of death as asphyxia, which is lack of oxygen reaching the blood in the heart. That's what I can learn from my science, which I learned in class 8 and 9. So no one has a clear proof of what is actually. Many people are clickbaiting in YouTube, I saw, but it's not always true. And also claims of being his Wikipedia page was edited 1.5 hours before he actually committed suicide. So this can also prove that it was a pre-planned murder, and someone already knew that Sushant was going to commit suicide. And Mahesh Bhatt once said in an interview that Sushant will commit suicide, and it happened. Also post saying that he was playing some game called Call of Duty a few time before his death. So how can a person was gaming so properly and with entertainment he commits suicide within a couple of hours? And what we can see, he was a strong believer in astrophysics, quantum physics. He had a telescope, so he had much other things in life other than just being an actor. Rather than being a brilliant actor, he had many other things in life. Then how can a person who had ranked 7 in engineering commit suicide? The police found antidepressants in his house, which proves that he was depressed. But what is the proof? Because police contacted Dr. Sushant Singh Rajput also, which also said that he was actually depressed because many production houses like Yash Raj Films, T Series, Balaji Productions, Sajid Najariwala boycotted him. But as far as I heard, he had did some phone calls to his family few days before his death, and he was acting perfectly fine. Then how can he commit suicide? Many people may be depressed, but not all people end their life. And in Sushant's case, he was a very big actor. He had a lot of money in his bank account and even owned a land and moon. And the way he used to talk and the way he smiled and the way he talked about stars and galaxies can not make us feel that actually a person like this can commit suicide as a young and charming person. So it perfectly feels that some kind of a fishy thing behind his death, which is a suicide or a murder, but we don't know. But we can instigate CBI inquiry for the case. And also his manager Disha Salyan committing suicide 4 to 5 days before his own death can be also be proved that why are all the people ending their life? There must be something behind this case. Producers boycotting him doesn't mean he didn't have any movies. He had a film called Dil Bechara, which is going to release on 24th of July on Hotstar, which was supposed to release on 8th of May in cinemas, but didn't release due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected the entire world. So, another reason which suggests is a suicide is that his second last film Makhna was released on Netflix but not on cinemas. While it can be thought that it was written that it would be released in cinemas, but it didn't release due to Salman Khan wanted to cast Suraj Pancholi in the film, but Sushant had already taken the advance amount for the film. So our Mr. Karan Johar couldn't kick him out of the movie. So Salman Khan used his power and made the film released on Netflix and not in the cinemas, which destroyed Sushant maybe from inside. So he started to commit suicide, and the other production houses boycotting him. But he still had work. All we can say is that we can demand CBI inquiry for the case, so as the case goes to its depths and the actual cause of his death can be said, and the criminals could be jailed, and we can give insaf to Sushant. And what else can we say? Rest in peace, sir. Also, don't believe any other videos which are clickbaiting only for views. Only believe proper sources from the internet, and also don't believe rumors, because it's not clearly stated that anything has led to the death of the star or celebrity. It is like we as humans can't do. We as normal audience can't prove his death. It was a suicide or a murder, but we can only state facts that can prove it. All we can know is we can give CBI inquiry to this case. Thank you.